Hello again from Custom Home Builder Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software for the professional home builder. This is a continuation in a series of videos about records that have been marked as paid by credit card, and how to, this particular video will be about how to maybe do some editing on those records or remove them from being marked as paid by credit card, or change an amount of some credit card entries or delete them. So let's get started on that. Let's go to our credit card ledger that we've been looking at in previous videos, and let's select our account that we set up first of all, Discover 6 as a credit card vendor, and we want to open the ledger for that credit card account, credit card payable account basically, and take a look at it. Some of the tools on here have to do with, there's an X here for removing some records, and we're going to talk about that. It's a peculiar thing. Credit card entries have both the original entries that were paid by credit card and then the offset entries that are taking that to credit card payable and handling that for you. So it's a little bit different than editing some records that are not marked as paid by credit card. But let's pretend we've noticed on maybe a job cost report, and we could do this editing from some other places where we noticed it, that the discount got posted as a job cost, so it's thus reducing my job costs. And maybe we've decided we don't want that discount to be part of our job costs. We want it to just be some earned discount income that doesn't show up on job cost reports. Maybe we don't want to give credit to the, have the home buyer say the job costs were less than we thought. We want to just say, well, we pay them on time. That doesn't have much to do with the costs. I don't know. It depends on your philosophy. But let's pretend like we've noticed that somewhere, but for some reason we're on the credit card ledger rather than somewhere else where we could also edit it. But I'd like to show you that if you click the pencil edit icon to edit or review the record, now what you're going to see is a record that is the original record that was posted as paid by the credit card. This record that you're actually looking at over here is the offset record that was posted to the credit card payable. It's not really the original record, it's the offset record that went to the credit card payable account. And if you click a pencil edit icon, it's going to show you the original record that was posted as paid by credit card. So this is your original entry to the Vendor Pro Build. We can see over here that this is for a discount deduction, and that we put it to a job, and that we used a cost code other than 0. In other words, that's why it would show up on job cost reports under materials house wrap. So let's just pretend like we wanted to edit that. Now this pencil edit icon on this window is pretty much the same as if you just opened a vendor ledger or a vendor transactions ledger and looked for this record and found it and wanted to edit it. But you can, I'm just showing how you can, that pencil edit icon can get you to the original record to do some editing as you need. So we've decided we want this cost code to be 0 so that it will not be included in job costs, because the only records included in subsidiary job cost reports are records with cost codes other than 0. By putting a cost code other than 0, that's what causes it to be a job cost. And we don't want it to show up in our GL account for direct construction costs. We want it to be in something that we have called earned discounts on our regular income statement as some income. So we've changed the GL number and we've changed the cost code, and we're going to go ahead and save that and close that. And you'll see that change on the original record here. The GL account is now for earned discounts. The cost code is just none, basically. So this is going to remove this from showing up on a job cost report. It's okay if we leave the job if we're wanting to do an overall income statement about the cash flow of that job for our accounting purposes, to see the overall stuff contributed for that job, the cash, because we do cash flow by job. We could leave the job code on that record. But that's how you edit just the general base information for a record, and it's the same throughout CHS and various other places about how you can do that editing. But from the credit card ledger, it will bring up the original entries. Now, on this, because these are vendor bills paid by credit card, there are some other tools. One of the tools is that you could change the amount of credit card charges, and we'll talk about how you do that. Or you can get it cleared back to an unpaid status, in other words, not marked as paid by credit card. But we're not going to do that to this one because it was paid by a credit card as part of these three other entries. Let's move on to a different credit card that has just some silly entries that I think we've posted. Let's choose the Amex credit card to do some demonstrating of changing maybe the amount of a credit card charge. So let's just decide that we realize that maybe we posted this charge because somebody brought in a receipt and we just noticed $78. Maybe there was actually, once the credit card statement came, it has sales tax on it also, and we somehow left that out. So we're thinking, I want to change this amount from 78 to something with sales tax. Now that I have my statement, I see what the real amount was for it. And this is one of the values of posting. When you originally post the entry, we now have the original entry, that you go ahead and put a little bit of a description here, because you'll also be able to see some of that description here on the credit card ledger, so it's easier to find those. But to change the amount, you would use the pencil edit icon right here beside the amount, and CHS will let you change the amount, and it's going to go take care of all the offsetting entries to the credit card payable. Let's see what that amount is times 1 point. Our sales tax rate is 8 1/4. So it really came in as maybe $84.44, the charge, let's just say. I just did that because I don't know why. But we're now changing the amount to $84.44 from $78 because we're doing our reconciliation or something with the credit card statement. We noticed the amount was different. So we're going to submit that change. And it says it's all been updated, and the window will close. And you will now see that our amount is $84.44 for that credit card change. It may not be due to sales tax or anything. You just realize you're a penny off or something. So you want to change the amount of that original record and the offsets to the credit card account. You'll notice over here, if I do click the little audit button, that it shows how I changed the amount. It shows what the original amount was before I changed it. And that's an audit, and it shows who did the change. Over here, username Carol King, and what date and what time the change. These records go into a great big audit database that you can search, so you can search for everything posted to the books vendor and see what changes have been made, etc. So it does do an audit of who made changes like that, like changing amounts, etc. So that's how you would change the amount of that entry. And maybe you would rather not have that paid date for whatever reason. And you need to do a different date. Now that date is tied to a little batch of records that are all grouped together and all need to be changed as a batch. So if you do this pencil edit icon, it's going to ask if you want to change this record from being paid by a credit card to unpaid. The reason we need to change it to unpaid is that, just maybe when we posted it as paid by credit card, we posted it on a date that we didn't really want. We need it to be in a previous statement, or it's a later date, we need to change it. But the only way that you can get a credit card date changed is by marking it as unpaid and then go repost it as paid by credit card. So if I did yes, mark as unpaid, it's going to close this, say no records are found for that as paid by credit card anymore. But what's going to happen is CHS, in order to take care of credit cards, needed to go ahead and leave the original entry that went to your credit card payable and do a reversing entry. Now you can get rid of those in and out entries with the X check mark, and that's the only thing you can use the delete icon for here, just to get rid of the junk that's in here. It's an in and out entry that comes to 0. So you say, I want to get rid of the junk. Maybe you marked it as unpaid also because you're actually just truly wanting to delete this entry. It needs to be marked as unpaid so that you go to the unpaid payables window, and from there you can delete it. It has to do with how CHS has to very logically reverse and track credit card things. But if you want to unjunk this and get this out of here totally with this date and all that stuff, this X will let you, if it finds that entry and an offset entry that are a result of marking things as unpaid, etc., it will let you continue to delete those 2 records, and they'll go away. So now we're back to where that entry is not even in here. If I tried to do the X button on just this one, it's going to tell you about that X button is only for getting rid of the in and out entries like that you'd need to mark this as unpaid and then go completely delete it from the unpaid window. It just needs to go through those steps. So let's go to our unpaid payables. We marked that one that was for books as an unpaid record, and I just asked for that vendor, and here it is on my unpaid thing. Now I could check mark it to pay, because it really was paid by a credit card, but I was trying to just get to the place of having a different date on it. So I check marked it to pay like we saw in a previous thing, and then click to the little payment hyperlink. I'm going to post it as paid by credit card again, but I'm going to use a different date for whatever reason. I don't even know what original date I had on here, but let's play like it was really February 1st, needed to be on a statement that included that, and I will submit this. And it's not going to let me because it's a date prior to the invoice date of the thing. So notice how that won't let me do that. It's going to hover, and if you hover, it's going to say the paid date cannot be prior to the base invoice date. And you can see those invoice dates back there. So actually that's why that shows there. It checks it, and I'm going to need to use a date. Maybe it was paid on February 28th. I don't know. So we'll submit that. There's various reasons you might want to be changing the date of the credit card payment itself. And so therefore, if I go back to my credit card ledgers, open the Amex again, now that I posted that as paid by credit card, it's back in here. Did I not click the thing to post? Oh, I selected Discover. Somehow I decided I was talking, and I bet it's on my Discover credit card now. So that would be an example of maybe you posted it to the wrong credit card. So you needed to get it to the right credit card. So now suddenly we have an entry on February 28th for $84.44, which now would not tie to the payment that we made. So once again, I could go here. I could realize, oh, I made that boo-boo. I can click this, and I can say, yes, mark this as unpaid, do OK, go back. So now it's unpaid again. It's not part of the Discover one. I go back to my unpaid payables. I still have, it's back in there. And I check mark it to pay, do payment. This is just giving you a little double lesson on how you do that. And I'm going to select my Amex. It's going to remember the last thing there, so I needed to remember to do that, and we decided it was on February 28th. And now we will submit that. So that shows you double time how you fix something like that. And if you go back to the credit card ledger, now we ask for our Amex. I've been using Discover so much that I boo-booed that. But so you can see sort of double time how that's happened, and now that charge is back on here on a date I wanted. Maybe it was showing up with an earlier date that I didn't want, and that's how I accomplished getting it marked that way. So that's a little bit about how you're editing things and how you can clean up things that CHS does posting an in and out entry, if I go, let's show you something here. You can also get rid of, if you're over here in payables transactions, for all of the transactions posted to vendors, and I'll just say I want all of them, all entries I've made, so that books. So I'm doing this full range of dates that are shown up here, and I'm doing a vendor books, and I want to see all the entries in my vendor transactions that I posted to that vendor. I'm just looking for them, and I just realized that never did happen. It wasn't a credit card charge. For some reason we posted it, that kind of thing. And you can see over here that it's a credit card thing to 2131, which is accounts payable American Express. If I click the X button here, it's going to gather data. It says this entry has been marked as being paid by a credit card and cannot be deleted. Here, a window will open that can be used to mark the entry as unpaid. And basically, you're going to get that same window that we were just using, where you can use this edit icon, and it tells you here about how to use this pencil edit icon that's between the paid date and the check numbers, and you don't want it to be on your credit card thing. So the same event will happen. If I do that, if I mark it as unpaid because it wasn't paid by the credit card, and I close that, now it didn't get deleted by using that. CHS is controlling this stuff, but it's not marked as being paid by a credit card anymore. It's marked as unpaid. But what will happen on our credit card ledger is that CHS had to take care of the accounting, so we'll have that in and out entry again, 84 and 84, minus 84. So if we want to clean up our books, we can use this X icon. It did find there was a plus one and a minus one, so they totaled to 0, so it feels kind of comfortable deleting the entries that were posted to the credit card payable in and out. So we've got it cleaned up. And now that record is back over there in unpaid, where maybe we're going to post it as paid by a check or who knows what. But hopefully that gives you a pretty good idea of what's happening here with these little tools to edit or sort of delete things. And as I've said before, under help, under credit card charges and payments, there's a full help document that has this stuff printed out and shows you those examples and talks about them also. It's a printed out PDF, and it talks about that editing and deleting that I just talked about. So you can open that and open that document. You can also leave these documents open in a tab up here in Firefox if you're working on things and you want to refer to them again. But you're going to see how the various videos I've been doing are here, and that when we get over here, we're talking about marking things as unpaid, and then we get to the place about editing records, or change the amount of the record that has been paid by the credit card, reverse a credit card charge, change the credit card that was used, or edit the paid date. So hopefully all of that was just demonstrated in this video, and there is that backup help document. We are going to talk now, and that's about deleting the original and reversing entries. We're going to talk about now about how you can look at invoices paid by credit card and find just ones for one job if you need to know how much from that credit card account was paid for one job, or posted as paid by credit card for one particular job, for whatever reason you need that to happen. But we're going to talk about that in the next video. And thank you for watching.